The Real Monica Adams Show is brought to you by Kaufman Outdoors and The Porch in Wildwood.
We're going to visit with Shawn Estep here in just a handful of minutes. Now, last time we had him on, you loaded us up with tons of questions, great questions, by the way. So I was talking to a few people last night, and I said, have you done your estate planning? Do you know about elder law? Have you talked about living, wills, trust? And they're like, oh, we have. There was a couple that I met last night that were in their 30s. They're like, we've discussed it. I said, stop discussing it and do it. But don't do it on your own. That is the biggest thing that we can stress today. I know a lot of you might try and do it on your own on the website, and then all of a sudden you find out horror stories of things that went wrong. So we're going to discuss all this with Shawn Estep this morning. After we do, a little news you can use. Have you liked the weather? I stepped outside and I was like, it's a little muggy, throwing the blazer on. I thought, no, maybe I'm trying to manifest fall to come in a little bit earlier. Well, let's give you the forecast. Here's what it's going to look like as you head out the door this morning. 83 degrees for your high. We do have some clouds. In fact, as I was driving, I thought they were hovering like literally right above my car. They are very low this morning. Clouds and then afternoon sun. 67 for a low tonight. Tomorrow, as we get ready to head into the weekend, beautiful. 87, partly sunny skies. 70 for the low. And then we've got St. Louis City SC back in action. Isolated thunder showers are expected on Saturday with a high of 86. Sunday looks gorgeous. So make some plans, maybe go to church and have maybe brunch outside. 83, 66 for the low. And we look at next week, Monday through Saturday. Pretty much mid to upper 80s expected. The Cardinals come back to Busch Stadium on Tuesday. Your lows will be in the upper 60s. And as Beckett told us the other day, that's pretty indicative of what we would expect for this time of the year. As the kiddos just got back to school, let us know how they're doing. Are they already ready to have their fall break? Some of them are. I've been listening to someone say, ooh, it's only been 3 days in and I'm done. Yeah, get ready for a long year if that's how you're feeling this morning. We do have some breaking news that happened overnight. If you've been driving in downtown St. Louis, and again, if you're outside of our area, try to take care of St. Louis, Missouri, Southern Illinois, and then all throughout. We do national news, etc. This one happens to be local. The Millennium Hotel. We've been looking at that if you drive downtown of a lot of work that they've been doing to demolish the hotel. Well, it caught fire amid the ongoing demolition. Yeah, that happened Wednesday night, according to the St. Louis Fire Department. About 8 o'clock, firefighters with the St. Louis Fire responded to the hotel for reports of a visible fire on or about the 24th floor. Then about 9 o'clock, the department said, fortunately, the fire was out. There were no injuries immediately reported. First responders have yet to say what caused the fire. There was a comment from the Gateway Arch Foundation that said, we can confirm the fire occurred at the Millennium Hotel site. The fire was extinguished quickly. We are grateful to the fire department for their swift response and not aware of any injuries, again, at the time of this story. But again, that was 9 o'clock last evening. If anything changes, we'll, of course, pass that along to you. All right, listen up if you are a dog owner, and I'm hoping that this doesn't continue to spread all throughout the United States. A screwworm is concerning a lot of people and putting some adoptions on hold. Concerns about the New World screwworm have put the adoptions on hold. We're looking right now at adoptions in Texas, potentially putting the animals at risk of being euthanized because of efforts to stop the spread of the New World screwworm, an insect that has crossed the border from Mexico into the United States for the first time, folks, in 6 decades. The flesh-eating parasite threatens the nation's $113 billion beef industry, prompting federal officials to close the border to cattle movements. Because the screwworm also can infect pets, most states have restricted the movement of animals from infested areas of Texas, leading to crowded conditions in state shelters that rely on adoptions to other regions of the country. So as I mentioned, this right now is a story out of Texas, but we see these stories pop up, and then unfortunately we start to talk about how it is impacting right here in our area or wherever you're watching. So we'll keep an eye on that particular story and bring you the latest. All right, I'm going to say I am right there with you, Rattler. They are getting an uptick in calls because of spiders spiders. Are you all? I literally was like, a spider bit my butt the other day. I'm just going to be real with you. And I was like, oh my gosh, it itches. Then my husband said the same thing. Like, I got one on my ankle. Where in the world are these coming from? I don't know, but they are very busy at Rutler right now with an uptick, again, in spiders that we're seeing everywhere. Are you like me? I can't stand spiders. Look at, and my guest is itching as I just said that. I think it puts it into your head. The summer heat, the storms bringing more unwanted pests into your home. It's peak season for not only the spiders, but ants, mosquitoes, ticks, other creatures. They said the phone is ringing off the hook for them, and probably, I'm sure, others that take care of that for us. The mosquitoes also, they said, were bad, but a lot of times we tell you that's because of standing water that you have. If you feel like you're seeing more, they say that we're actually on par with past summers, but we're told if an egg gets laid today, there's a new mosquito within 7 days. And with the rain and the heat lately, that cycle is contributing to a mosquito population as well. So there you go. You all itching at home as I just said that? Probably I put that into your head. Okay, SPF, so very important. In fact, our dear friend is right, I think, a building over from where we are this morning. So shout out to Dr. Sarah Jensen, an incredible dermatologist. We love her. She was part of our Medical Monday. So if you're looking for a good dermatologist, she's the one that I would recommend. She would like this story today as we talk more and more about sunscreens. Now, this, again, if you're heading out, even when it's cloudy, even when it's raining, please still have it on. There is a new sunscreen ingredient coming to stores very soon, and here's how it's a little different. For the first time in decades, the FDA has approved this new ingredient for sunscreens that's coming to store shelves very soon, and some dermatologists say it could be a great help in the battle to prevent skin cancer. You ask most moms, they have a routine for coating up their kids. In fact, many kids are like, oh my gosh, you can't even see me, I'm just all filled with white. Yes, but that's when we know that they're okay. Sunscreens are categorized by their ingredients, and to demonstrate how different they feel on the skin, many people were asked to apply. Like, is it sticky? Do they like it? There's mineral sunscreen with ingredients like zinc oxide or titanium dioxide, which reflect the sun's UV rays, and some people don't like that really thick aspect. The FDA sent a statement to our friends over at KMOV and said the agency has not delayed the approval of new ingredients. The delay comes because information has not been provided to them. They asked the FDA why it took so long to approve it into the United States, because it's been tested in Europe, tested in the lab for more than some of the ingredients that we currently have. Dermatologists say the best sunscreen is the one that you remember to use, right? It's the fact that you've got to put it on. All right, we regularly talk about recalls, and this one has to do, and I don't want to just say kids because a lot of us like to have a little yummy dessert. This one's impacting fruit bars. So I want you to check your freezers and see if you have these. I do not want you to eat them. Several flavors of a popular brand of frozen fruit bars being recalled because they may be contaminated with glass. Dreyer's Grand Ice Cream announced a voluntary recall of 5 flavors of its Outshine fruit bars. The flavors affected are strawberry, watermelon, grape, tangerine, and black cherry. They were distributed to stores nationwide, came in packs of 6 2.5-ounce paddle-shaped bars. The best buy dates, June 30th of 27 and November 30th of 27. Again, they might be contaminated with glass. No illnesses or injuries reported so far. But again, if you have these, no other Outshine products are impacted by the recall. If you have them, again, you're urged to throw away the fruit bars, or you can go back to the store where you got them. Hopefully you have your receipt and you can get a full refund. I wish I had tickets to this, but boy, they sold out immediately. Savannah Bananas, not only are they playing at Busch Stadium, but you might see them in Baldwin walking around. And now everybody's going to rush to go see these guys. They're going to be at the Baldwin Dairy Queen. Yeah, that's today. Select players making an appearance. That's right there at 1445 Big Bend Road in Baldwin. It's a celebration of the partnership between DQ and the Savannah Bananas. It will run from 6:30 tonight to 8:30. Attendees will have the opportunity to meet, take pictures with select team members, and try the new Split Shake. I love these guys. It's the most brilliant marketing I have ever seen. All right, if you haven't bought your Mizzou tickets already, good luck. You're going to spend a lot of money. They sold the season out, folks. This is amazing. I am looking forward to going to the homecoming game October 3rd against Florida. But yeah, season tickets, at least season tickets for the 2026 Mizzou football season have sold out, and they are kicking off the season Thursday, September 3rd. It's AR Pine Bluff against Mizzou. They're going to play Kansas on the 11th. The 19th of September, it's Troy and Missouri, Mizzou and Mississippi State on September 26th. As I mentioned, the homecoming game game against Florida, and then it's Texas A&M against Mizzou on October 10th. I know a lot of people are talking about which game to go to. They've got a heck of a schedule, but I'd say Texas A&M, and that Florida game will be really, really good. Okay, how about City SC? I mentioned they are going to be back in action this weekend. They are looking to extend their unbeaten run with a road match against Sporting KC. And in Cardinals news, unfortunately, the Reds squeaked out a win against our St. Louis Cardinals 5-4 yesterday. So now they are continuing their run with the Cardinals. It's the Cardinals and Cincinnati continuing today. First pitch will be at 11:40. Let's run down your National Day of calendar. I think you're going to like today. When I was at Fox 2, Glenn Zimmerman and I used to talk about how much men love bacon. We used to say it was meat candy. Well, today is your day, National Bacon Lovers Day. It is National Radio Day, so let's pay homage to the incredible broadcasters in radio and flip on your favorite station today. If you like beer, National Hazy IPA Day. It's National Accessible Air Travel Day. It is National Chocolate, did you say pecan or pecan? I say pecan. National Pecan Pie Day. And then global observances. World Mosquito Day. How ironic that we were just talking about mosquitoes. And let's give props to our medical transporters. It's their day to shine as well. There you go. Within the first 15 minutes of the show, we get you all up to date on things that I think you need to know about, things you can use, and then we get into our guest. Today, as you can notice, we are not in our studio. We are live on location at the Estep Law Firm in Chesterfield. We're going to sit down with Shawn Estep. If you haven't met him, we'll give you a little background on him in the very beginning, and then we're going to load up your questions. So bring him to the table, or maybe something that we say sparks you to say, oh my gosh, I need to know more about that. Bring him to the table. We will have your answers within this hour, so don't go anywhere. Special thanks to all of our sponsors, and that list, by the way, keeps growing. Defiance Ridge Vineyards, Dot Fleshman Realty, Garden View Care Centers, Exist Stretch, Fenton Family Dentistry, Spas and More, JG Optimal Wellness, Childress Legal Nurse Consulting, The Porch in Wildwood, Kaufman Outdoors, Dr. James Clarkson, R.A. Ginner Plumbing, the Estep Law Firm, Ara House, the Ara Scent Diffuser, and your name can be on this list. Just reach out to me at info@therealmonicaadams.com. Welcome back to the Real Monica Adams Show. I'm your host, Monica Adams, and I should say I'm his guest because we are at his place. Shawn Estep with the Estep Law Firm. Thanks for having us, Shawn.
My pleasure, Monica, and thanks to everybody coming to visit my office. It's a nice place to work.
Absolutely. It's very warm here, and this is where you all will come when you work with him, and I do want you to do so. Let me give you the address, by the way. It's 16020 Swingley Ridge Road. They're in Suite 360 here in Chesterfield, Missouri, and the phone number to reach out to Shawn is 636-233-2017. Okay, for those who have not seen Shawn on the show in the past, you have been in estate planning for how many years?
Almost 30.
It's almost 30. And how long have you been at this location?
Just a little over a year.
Okay, and your passion, because again, you can go into so many levels of law. Why did you want to take care of people in this realm?
Mostly because it's really personal for me. I get to meet people and talk to them, understand their personal situation, who their family is, and just to get to know people. Mm-hmm. And that's the most important part of what I do, is just getting to know people and who their family is.
Sure.
Who do they care about? Why do they care? What things can we do to help them? So that's why.
It's very personal, and I mentioned that Jim and I worked with Shawn, and now my sister-in-law actually said the other day, she's like, don't you feel this weight lifted off of your shoulders? And I said, yes. Now I feel like, again, the legacy can be left, that our family and charities are taken care of because we have the binder. And I showed the binder the other day. I'm like, it's this big. And so people are like, how can I get that? You work with Shawn and everything will be nice and organized. Let's address something that came up last night with some of our friends over at Adventure Unknown.
Okay.
I met a brand new couple. They were in their 30s and they said, okay, we need to reach out and talk to Shawn. I said, yes, you do. And they said, I think in our heads we feel like, do we need to do this yet? Are we young? You mentioned last time 18?
18.
18 is when you should be starting. I mean, that's really, really organized in your brain. But what is the median age that most people start going, okay, I better do this?
So median age is probably 40s,
Yep.
and I say that because some people recognize early in life in their 20s and 30s. They have children, new children, they've got a spouse, and they want to make sure that the children have things taken care of for them if mom and dad pass away. Number one, guardians for them, people that can make decisions for the child. Make sure that there's money set aside for them to take care of them through college. So those are the people that are early. Later in life, we've either done a will-based plan or a simple trust, but we recognize at that point that there are more things going on than we thought. There are more things we have to plan for.
Sure.
So that's why the median is kind of in the middle of that 30 to maybe 60, 70 range.
Why do you think people wait though? Because I think I think you had a guy one time that said, I just fear that if I do it, something's going to happen.
That's part of it, kind of anxiety. You know, what's the process like? Is it hard? Do I really want to spend that much time sitting down and talking about issues, about incapacity, about passing away? And, you know, yeah, I understand that, but I think when I have conversations with families, it's different than that. It's getting to know them first. We don't talk about death as much as we do about your family now. Isn't that your experience with what we did? We talk about, you know, living, because, and I've used this this analogy before, the pastrami sandwich, and we're gonna do that,
picture,
right?
Yes.
So a pastrami sandwich, you got two pieces of bread, right? Probably a rye bread, right?
Of course.
And you know, that's birth and death. But then there's the pastrami in the middle, and that's the biggest piece of what we do in our lives. So there's so many things that happen between our birth and our death that we need to plan for, you know, make sure that we're protected, our spouse is protected, that our children are protected, our grandchildren. That those are all things that in between we need to make sure we're paying attention to.
Yep. Once again, we are live from the Estep Law Firm in Chesterfield, Missouri, and I want to hear from you. What questions do you have, or what's your experience been? I had a lady the other day, and she was like, I have a question for Shawn. There were so many issues that popped up, and I hear a lot of people, unfortunately, tell the drama stories of what went wrong when they thought that they had their wills and trusts taken care of, and then all of a sudden your parents are gone, and it splits up families, unfortunately. It's really devastating of some of the stories that I hear from people.
Yeah, we see that a lot. And even though we have our documents, our trusts and wills, they're really great instructions. If you don't have appropriate instructions and don't have the right person making decisions, you could still end up with conflict. And that's the part where we try to make sure that when we have the conversation with our clients, that we ask, who are the right people to make those decisions? Who are the people that are going to reduce the amount of conflict amongst the family members?
Absolutely. Again, so questions, bring them to the table. If not, I've got some that were kind of held over from last time. What's the biggest misconception people have about estate planning?
That's a great question. I think there are a number of different things. I heard one last night. One of my clients was talking about his sister. And sister owns property with him. Okay, they own 100 acres together, and sister thinks that when brother dies, she's going to get everything. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe that was their parents' intent, but that's not what the parents did.
Right.
What they did was they have what's called tenants in common. So they both own one half of it. So on my client's passing, that property is going to go through his estate planning to his family, not to his sister. So sister, again, is mistaken. So that's one of the mistakes I see people think, is that things just go straight through, either from a husband to a wife, or from parents to children. It's not automatic.
Yeah.
That's why we have what's called a probate code in Missouri. That's why we have a probate court, is because things are not automatic.
Let me ask this, because this also came up with someone. They said if there's changes that are made, and we're all amicable, we're great siblings together, we don't have to have everything notarized, do we?
Well, not everything in an estate plan gets notarized, but the reason you want it notarized is because it's more formal that way. It's then formally recognized by Missouri courts. If you have some sort of conflict between beneficiaries, if you have a document that hasn't been properly executed, with witnesses and notarization, or with simple notarization, they may not be respected by the court. So you have to make sure things are formalized. That's what notarization's about.
Okay. Again, and we're mentioning Missouri. Does it change in other states?
It can. Okay. I don't know other states' laws, but I know other states do have different laws.
But if you are in another state, it's the same reason why we say work with a lawyer, work with someone who's been in this industry and knows the ins and outs and knows the laws in your state where you won't run into problems. Another one was if someone becomes incapacitated tomorrow, who can legally make financial decisions for them?
If that person has a power of attorney for finance, and that person is named in that power, then that person can get information about the incapacity of that individual, that the person's called the principal, and then they can present that to banks, financial institutions, whoever they need to get access to information or make decisions. If that document doesn't exist, then you have to go to a court.
Okay.
And there are two pieces of the puzzle. The one is how to manage that person for health care. That's going to be a guardianship. Where are they going to live? Who's going to care for them? The second part of it is the conservatorship. That's when we talk about finances. So those are two different pieces. And I think I told the story once before of I had a client that her husband got sick on vacation, and they misdiagnosed it. He was sick for 8 years. He was incapacitated. She had to go to court every year for 8 years to get permission to spend money that was maybe for their daughters, maybe for a dress to prom. But they had to report every year, so there was just this continuous reporting to the probate court. So it's really living probate, something you don't want to do. So the simple act of creating a power of attorney can prevent that.
Absolutely. And one of the things you mentioned last time is when you're going through this process, it is to carry out what the family's wishes are, but it's also the dignity aspect. And I think you used that word a lot in our last show, and I liked it because I thought if there's anything we're driving home, it is that word of dignity, because that's what we want when we're passing on.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, that's the message. That's the hope, everybody. Again, Shawn Estep with the Estep Law Firm. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, one of the questions that I thought was really powerful was they wanted to look into the Medicaid side. They wanted to know, what does the 5-year Medicaid look back why does the 5-year Medicaid look back matter so much, and what is the difference between Medicare and Medicaid when it comes to long-term care? Those are two questions that came in. Great questions last time. And again, this is all about you. If those questions come trickling in after the show, we'll carry them over into the next month. But I'd love for you that are live right now, ask the questions. I mean, literally, you're getting free advice, and then you're going to carry that forward as you do your own planning. The Estep Law Firm, located in Chesterfield, Missouri, wants you to reach out or go to their website to get more information of how you can work directly with Shawn. All right, we'll be back with Shawn. Don't go anywhere. Hi, I'm Monica Adams, host of The Real Monica Adams Show. And you know, one thing we love, everyone that comes into our studio always talks about how incredible it smells. Well, that scent has always come from candles. I wanted to look into something even healthier for us. Aura House is what I found. They are a non-toxic, waterless, cold air diffuser with the scents from the most amazing luxury hotels and resorts that you've been to. And you bring them back from vacation. It's in your home, it's in your studio, it's in your office. For me, I have people that come into our studio that immediately say how incredible it smells.
It smells so good, but not overpowering. What is that? It's delicious.
It's called Dubai.
One after another after another. At my house, it's Coast, so it feels like I am coming back from Cabo. I've always loved the scent of a particular luxury resort in Cabo, and hey, now I have it at my house. The other thing I love, it's great for the pets. I have 3 dogs, but you can never tell that when you walk into my home. It smells like you're on vacation, and it's safe for the dogs as well. It is Sephora clean. It is paraben free. There are so many levels of Aura House that are making our lives so much better. You're going to love Aura House, and trust me when I tell you, everywhere you are in your home or in your office, no matter where you are, how far away you go from that diffuser, it smells amazing. Shawn was coming on, they had some questions. By the way, Garden View, and I understand Shawn just said, oh, I've been there. There are 3 locations. They have the one in O'Fallon, Missouri. They have the one in Chesterfield. Then they have the one in that Doherty Ferry Valley Park area. Beautiful facilities, and you can feel the warmth there. But the number one thing that I heard from someone a couple days ago was they truly do treat you like family. Like it's their own mother, their own father, their own grandma, their own grandpa. And that's the kind of care that you want. So yes, you might want to go to some place that, oh, it looks aesthetically beautiful, but the most important thing is the kind of care that they do. Whether it is assisted living, maybe it's an independent side of the apartment, maybe it's rehab. My mom went to Garden View after being in the hospital. They are an incredible organization, and you can feel the love. Can't wait to actually feature them coming up in about a week and a half. GardenViewCareCenters.com. All right. We are live on location at the Estep Law Firm, located again down in Chesterfield, Missouri, off Swingley Ridge. Are on Swingley Ridge Road, and you can go to the Estep Law Firm's website as well to ask other questions. But more importantly, I'd like for you to ask them right now while we are live. Before we continue, let's wish a beautiful happy birthday to your wonderful wife.
Happy birthday, Donna. Happy 70th birthday. So it's just awesome.
You just had a big celebration for her over the weekend, didn't you?
We did. Yeah,
was it a surprise?
It was a surprise.
Yay.
We got her over to Chandler Hill, and we walked out on the deck to take a nice picture with our friends, and all of our family was there, and it was just really a great time for her.
I love her, and the funny thing was, it's always eerie how you always have these paths that lead together. I actually know her daughter, and when I met her, she's like, you actually know my daughter. You've actually been to my house. I'm like, I have? And then I was like, I sure have. This is crazy. So Donna, love you. Happy birthday to you. The other thing, I'm jealous of Shawn right now because
I'm going to the Benetta Ball game tomorrow night.
Thanks a lot.
It should be fun.
Where's my tickets? Have you ever seen them before?
No, this will be the first time.
Okay, and those tickets, by the way, when they go on sale, you got to get them right away. Those guys are so unbelievably talented. Okay, so we said we are asking your questions, and 2 of them came in from friends that direct messaged me. They wanted to know, what is the difference, Shawn, between Medicare and Medicaid when it comes to long-term care? That was one, and the other is, why does the 5-year Medicaid look-back matter so much?
So let's start with the Medicare and Medicaid. Medicare covers things right up to about 100 days. Long-term care is anything that really kind of exceeds that, and then that can be covered by Medicaid.
Okay.
But Medicaid has certain requirements in terms of your Medicaid bed, and you also have to qualify for assets.
Okay. And then the other was the look back.
Okay, so that's why I said assets.
Yes.
Because assets, if you transfer assets for less than fair market value, so we'll just call it a gift. If you give assets to someone other than certain people that are excluded as a gift within that 5-year period prior to you applying for Medicaid benefits, then you get what's called a penalty period, sort of like in hockey. You get a penalty period.
You're in the box.
So you're in the box. And that penalty period is determined by dividing how much your gift was by the penalty divisor. I'm not going to get into the math, but just recognize that that causes you to have to private pay for some period of time. Okay. So all the look back period is at 5 years, is they look back to see if you gifted money to anybody during that 5-year period.
Okay. So there were people in the past asked wills or trust. We were doing like a rapid fire with you. Will or trust?
Trust.
Okay, so that if you didn't hear that last time, trust. Trust the trust, by the way.
Trust the trust.
But beyond the will, so estate planning beyond the will, what about documents as the final step? And there's a lot of them, by the way.
Yeah, there are basic documents, and I try not to focus on documents because you can get documents. I got an email literally yesterday that said you can get a trust for $149. Okay, so what are you getting in the trust? So let's not talk about the documents per se, but I'll tell you what the package looks like. But remember, again, these are your instructions to your family. A trust, a revocable living trust, a will. It's called a pour-over will.
Right.
We lovingly call that the legal pooper scooper. We can talk about that later. Then there's going to be a financial power of attorney.
Yes.
Healthcare power of attorney. HIPAA release, declaration, which is the same thing as a living will, and a medical directive.
Okay.
So those are the primary documents. And you can probably take those 4 healthcare documents I talked about, healthcare power, HIPAA release, declaration, medical directive, and call those advanced directives or healthcare directives. It's kind of a package.
And while you're going through this planning, by the way, it does take a lot, not only in your mind as you're thinking, but I hope you do like I did, where you really go into your heart, because you're looking at the legacy that you're leaving. And one of the things that you wanted to discuss was choosing trusted decision makers. And for me, it wasn't as simple, because I don't have children, it wasn't as simple of saying, oh, I'll have my kids do this. For me, it was, is that going to be my brother? Who do I want to make from a healthcare directive? Who do I want to do from the overall power of attorney? And it's not just one person, because if that person passes also, you have to go in. Do you always do 3 tiers?
We try to do 3. Sometimes we have really cooperative clients, and they have 4 or 5 children, or people they trust. Other times we'll have people like clients I met with this week. They just have 2 people that they...
Because they didn't trust beyond the 2?
It's not that they don't trust it, they just don't know anybody outside of that couple of people that they know. So for them, again, as they get older, there are fewer and fewer people that they still know, that they can trust, that aren't older than them.
Well, okay, you just said that. Jim's question to Shawn was, well, wait a minute, should we be thinking of younger people? And so he looked and he's like, what about your godchild? I said, she's 15. He goes, but? And I'm like, okay, in my brain right now, I can't think that she would make decisions for us almost being 16 years old.
Well, sometimes we'll have people say, well, my son's going to be 18 in March of 2027. Is that okay? Well, just let's not have anything happen between now and March of 2027.
Exactly.
So let's go ahead and do that, but we'll make him number 3. So it's, and locale is something else. I have clients that their daughter, the one they were going to depend on, she lived in Taiwan.
Oh, okay.
Right? But she could still make financial decisions because we live in this electronic world.
Absolutely.
So even though she lived on the other side of the planet, she could still make financial decisions until she was able to get back and actually make other decisions as needed.
That's a good point, because how far technology has come, it allows us to that. So that has changed the game, hasn't it?
It does, yeah.
Okay, again, if you're just tuning in, yes, we are talking about estate planning. Elder law, we talked a little bit about last time. I do have some other questions, but if you have any, drop them in for us. Monica, use your cousin Greg. He's a great guy. Okay, yeah, I have a huge family, by the way. You're right, he is, Richard. I have a huge family, so it was I do have a lot of trust. I could pick a lot of different people from that. What is one estate planning mistake you wish families would stop making? Oh, that's a good question. I like that one.
Thinking that, that's going to work for you. The second is probably thinking that depending on the will substitutes we talk about, which is the joint ownership, beneficiary designations, beneficiary deeds, transfers on death, pay on death, thinking that's going to be a plan for you, because there's so many things outside of avoiding probate that can happen that you should plan for.
What documents should every adult, not just seniors, every adult have in place?
Well, I think we talked about those. The trust, the will, financial power, healthcare power,
The
HIPAA release, declaration, medical directive. Those are really the primary documents.
For every adult. Because I think some people are just hearing this thinking, well, that's seniors. No, because again, you're hearing Shawn say, you need to make these decisions. I mean, we are an adult at 18. We just mentioned that. So these are things that we all have to have in place. So when you're thinking about estate planning and your wills and your trusts, we have to, I think the biggest message we can get in all of our marketing we're doing is stop thinking that this is something for older people.
So let's kind of think about it in a different way. So I talk about the package, the trust-based package. There are some times outside of the middle, okay, where we're talking about people between their 30s and 70s, 80s, where maybe just a will and powers of attorney are appropriate. Like, for instance, someone just going into college or just going into the military. Maybe it's just as well to have a simple will, power of attorney for finance, and the healthcare advance directives. That might be a good package. And also, if you're older, you don't have a lot of assets, you're not going to be needing to qualify for Medicaid, maybe you have something simple.
Okay.
That's okay. We have that conversation. This is not a one-size-fits-all by any stretch of the imagination. So it's really literally a conversation about what's appropriate for you and your family.
Okay. Anne just add a question over on Facebook. And again, we're on multiple platforms right now, so I'm trying to look at all of them. When you see me looking down, I am listening to him. I'm just wanting to make sure that all of you are heard. So if you have a question over on Instagram, I'll pop over there, or YouTube. Those come into us, as well as Facebook. Or if you're rushing off, if you're driving, please don't try to text while you're driving. Ask the questions like many of you have, and we'll get them into another show. And there's all the platforms, by the way, that we are on. You can also always go to our website at therealmonicaadams.com if you need more information. Anne says, I have 3 siblings, Shawn. 2 are in my will. Can the one that is not in my will, it should be contested?
Absolutely. Now, I say that. I get this question all the time. Can my siblings sue? Can someone sue? Absolutely. The question is, can they win? And generally speaking, if you're talking about a will, truthfully a will, that's already going to go through the probate process. It's already in court, right?
Yeah.
So they're not going to have to work too hard to get into the process, but they still have to get past your instructions in the will that say this person was disinherited, if they were disinherited. There are also some questions about whether someone that is a descendant of theirs can also make a claim.
Yep.
Okay. So again, if you have a properly drafted plan that has those instructions in it, not just a document, then maybe you're going to be more successful if somebody does try to contest your plan.
So just putting in your will, this person is disinherited, does not block that?
It doesn't block them from contesting it. It simply potentially blocks them from winning.
Okay. You have to have a good attorney to take care of you, by the way. Okay, if someone is already in the hospital or nursing home, is it truly too late to do anything?
No, not at all. I've done more than a few, probably 4 this year. I've done plans where people were in the hospital, in the nursing home. We did Medicaid planning. We did a Medicaid crisis planning to get Medicaid benefits sooner for that person. We've also done estate planning for them. We've done revocable trusts. We've done powers of attorney. In fact, I've got a lady that I'm doing a power of attorney, just a power of attorney for finance for, and she's in a nursing home. So no, it's never too late unless you're incapacitated or have already passed away. And if you've passed away, that's probate. So again, we can help with that as well.
So let's talk about patients' decisions as they go through, but what are those rights, right? So in the healthcare decisions, patient's rights, when the patient remains in control, when the healthcare agent will step in, and then the patient's wishes, because this just came up unfortunately within our family, patient wishes versus an agent's judgment. That's an interesting one.
So that's why we spend so much time having conversations with our family. And I apologize, I have allergies, and right now they're kind of bugging me.
You need more water?
Let me grab this.
Wet your whistle. We did it last night, but we're doing it this morning. It's a carryover.
Oh, look
at you.
Yeah, there you go.
Shameless plugging.
Shameless plugging. So ask the question again. I'll make sure I organize myself.
Patient wishes versus an agent's judgment. When the healthcare agent steps in, so we're looking at patients' rights here.
So let's walk this through one step at a time. So while a patient has full capacity and can make their own decisions, then no attorney, in fact, no agent can make a decision on behalf of that person, unless they specifically state that they can. Okay, so no third party can make a decision for you unless you tell them they can. Okay, the second thing, what happens if they're incapacitated? Who can make those decisions next? That's going to be the person that you name in your power of attorney for healthcare, an agent. Or if you don't have a power of attorney for healthcare, that would be a guardian that a court appoints. Okay. Also, for financial decisions, you're going to have that person that's going to make decisions either under powers of attorney for finance or as a conservator. The next thing is, what is that patient's rights? The patient's right is to be protected for appropriate decisions about their medications, about their treatments, about the procedures, about their caregivers, physicians, hospitals, and nursing homes. Those are all the things they have a right to have made correctly for them. And that's why that person that they named as a healthcare agent should be someone they trust, that understands and can navigate through the process. If you feel like they need assistance, there are people that can help. And I have resources for you that if your decision maker for healthcare needs assistance, let me know. I can help them with that resource. So now we talked about those advocates, the person on the healthcare side. So that patient's rights are covered by that agency, by that agent, through the power of attorney for healthcare. Choosing the right person is the most important thing, first of all.
You also don't want to do it, absolutely makes sense. You also don't want to do it in such an emotional state, and I say this, I like to be really real with all of you. You probably heard me say that we lost my cousin, unfortunately, God rest his soul, at a very young age. And this was not decisions, and you don't want to be making those right when you're in the hospital thinking, oh my gosh, but I don't believe that he probably went through the process. He was 44 years old. I don't think he went through the process of putting any kind of a will or a trust together. So here he is in the hospital and not able to make decisions. So my aunt right away was like, am I able to? He can't. I mean, literally, as you're talking about being incapacitated. But it was interesting how it switched, because then all of a sudden he got better. Now he's back in control, right? And then when he's back incapacitated, it flips back. I think it was just, they said, yes, you can make decisions, because he clearly cannot.
Right, and that's the thing you have to recognize. Unless there's conflict, okay, generally speaking, this was the experience I had with my brother Brad when he passed. The physicians and people at the hospital are going to ask your opinion. They're going to have, it was my mom. What do you want to have happen? Yep. It's simply when there's conflict or when there's a deeper need for a transition. So when you're in the hospital, it's an emergency situation, they're going to ask questions. Who's going to make the decision about care?
Does it automatically, though, for someone in this particular state, does it automatically go to a parent?
It's not so much automatic as it is just a natural conversation with the person that cares about the patient.
Okay. Because she was fearful of, well, he clearly can't make the decisions. Can I make the? They did know that he was a DNR, and so that was
that's helpful.
Correct.
That's helpful. But having the declaration, the living will, and the medical directive is literally you telling your family what you want.
Sure.
And again, mostly it comes in when you have conflict among family members, or a physician needs to make a particular type of decision that really they want more authority, or alternatively, if you're moving a patient from one community to another, it always helps to have powers of attorney.
Sure.
Or we'll have to have some sort of a conservatorship or guardianship.
Again, Shawn Estep, the Estep Law Firm. We are on location. Beautiful facility here that you would come in. And just like our studio, you have put together something that feels warm, because it can be very emotional. There might be tears that are here as you're going through the process, and you don't want it to be like, okay, I don't feel comfortable here. Shawn has absolutely created that for you. So estate planning, elder law, probate attorney, serving St. Louis County and the surrounding areas, 3 decades now. So work with him directly. Go to the website, esteplawfirm.com, or the phone number is 636-233-2017. You can also email. A lot of you like to email instead. info@esteplawfirm.com. Open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., which, by the way, thank you for getting here early today. Was this Really, really early for you?
5:45.
Yeah, he was here at 5:45.
I'm usually not awake till 6, so yeah, it's a little early.
We have a long one that just came in from Rose. My hubby got sued by his sister, who was estranged from the family. She thought her mom was worth more, so she had us examined under a microscope and found nothing. Hundreds of lawyer fees later. Now I have a friend whose estranged brother is suing his brother after the mother passed because he was her power of attorney also. I would never recommend anyone to take a power of attorney role in a dysfunctional family per se. Wow. Is there any other way for a child to take care of their parents' final decisions without a power of attorney?
If you're having that much conflict, it may be useful to do that conservatorship. Have a court appoint you as the conservator.
Okay.
Again, then you have court permission to make those decisions versus your power of attorney. I would have both.
Okay.
Simply because the court is going to see that power and note that you've been appointed as agent by your parent, and that's going to carry a lot of weight in terms of who they're going to appoint.
With that realm, let's bring this into play. What makes a power of attorney useful or useless when Medicaid planning becomes necessary?
So it's useful if the power has appropriate language in it that allows you to do some of the things that are necessary if someone needs Medicaid benefits.
Okay.
It's not useful if you don't have those little pieces in there. And you're not going to know unless you ask an attorney that understands Medicaid, understands veterans benefits,
Oh, good one.
and understands what the different parts are of that power of attorney that need to be there.
Okay. Can giving your house or money to your children actually create a Medicaid problem?
Yes, it can. It just depends on when you give it to them, number one. So if you give your children your house or money 5 years before you apply for Medicaid benefits, that's a good thing. That can be a good thing. It's not always a good thing. You have to think about tax consequences, not necessarily gift tax consequences, but other tax consequences if you gift, say, a house or assets that have some sort of capital gain associated with them, because there are some capital gains consequences to that gift,
Okay.
unless you do it properly.
Let's do some myths, because last time we did rapid fire, we're going to do some myths here. A will avoids probate.
No. A will is a probate document. It is required in Missouri to be presented to the probate court and approved by the probate court within 12 months of your passing as the will maker.
This myth, I think that we all would, I would say 95, maybe even 99, or maybe even 100% of us feel this. A spouse can automatically act.
Absolutely not.
And you would think that they would be able to.
In some cases, they can. There are some things you can do. I try to help people avoid probate as much as possible. I had a client a long time ago bring in an insurance policy that had a $100,000 benefit. The beneficiary was deceased. It was a spouse of the decedent, and I said, just file it with the insurance company, your beneficiary claim form, and they may allow you to go around the probate process. Well, they did. So we were able to avoid probate for a $100,000 insurance policy, and that was a win for me.
Yeah. Rose just said, I bet he's fun at parties, people shooting questions at him. Exactly, because they want free advice. That's not fair.
Oh,
he
I've
works
got a
hard.
story. Do you want to hear the story?
Yeah. Oh, please. Yes.
Okay. So a doctor and a lawyer are standing at a cocktail party
This
one
is
night.
a joke, is it not?
It is a joke.
Okay.
But it's not that far up. You know, the thing about jokes is that closer they are to the truth,
Yes.
the funnier they are.
Okay, so go back. A doctor and a lawyer.
Doctor and lawyer are talking, and the
Okay.
doctor's talking to the lawyer, and he says, you know, I'm just so tired of people coming to me at cocktail parties. Somebody was just asking me about some symptoms they had, and they were asking me what it was, and I'm just tired of it. You know, I feel like I need to charge them for that. And the lawyer just nodded his head, and it was a good 10, 15-minute conversation. And then they both broke up, left the party. About 2 weeks later, the doctor got a bill in the mail from the attorney. So, you know, there you go. So this is free advice. Ask questions,
We're
please.
not charging you. Ask the question. Yeah, they actually have some very good questions coming in. Medicare pays indefinitely for nursing home care.
No.
That's a myth.
Medicare does not pay
Okay.
for nursing home care. It pays, you know, your Part A and Part B pay for your hospitalization. They pay for, you know, other things. Your Part D is your drugs. So, you know, I've got the red, white, and blue card now, so I understand. Medicaid, on the other hand, if you qualify, will pay from the day you start Medicaid all the way through your passing.
Okay. And that we're going through some myths. Annual gifts do not affect Medicaid.
Not true.
These are all myths.
Yes.
Any trust protects your assets.
Not true.
It is too late once the care begins.
False. Not true.
Not true. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. When a crisis has already begun, so that was one of the things that people have
Yes.
talked about since you've been on with us for a few times.
Yes.
People are like, okay, now the crisis is here. As I was just mentioning, it's scary. There's so many emotions flying around. Hospitalization or nursing home admission. This is the thing when this happens, that you review your assets and prior transfers, review the existing powers of attorney, and then the options that may still be out there. But let's talk about when they're in that crisis. Can you share some stories of things that you hope that we start planning ahead of?
Yeah, so I've had numerous crisis cases this last year, and almost all of them were a scenario where we have a person that was relatively healthy. They had a slip and fall. They had some sort of a brain issue that caused them to need 24/7 care. So it was skilled care, not assisted living, not independent living, skilled nursing. So keep that in mind. And they needed that skilled nursing after they got out of rehab from the hospital. So what happens is you have a care plan that's created by the hospital that says that this person now needs long-term care in a nursing home, or the nursing home itself, where they do the rehab. And your mother had some rehab at,
Yes.
right?
At Gardenview, yep.
Gardenview. So they'll create a care plan that says this person cannot go home. They don't have the capability. So now we need to find a place for mom or dad to care for them for long-term care at skilled care level. Oh my gosh, how are we going to pay for that?
Right.
Okay, it's your assets. So you're going to use your assets and your income to pay for your nursing home care. But what happens if you have someone staying at home, say that the spouse?
Yeah.
Okay, do we want to burn down half or more of those assets on long-term care at the nursing home, or do we want to try and preserve some? So we're already on the path. We're already going into the nursing home. We know that we can protect some of the assets. We can get that person nursing home benefits from Medicaid sooner using some Medicaid crisis planning. So if you know somebody that's in that situation, it's not too late.
Okay. Again,
Okay.
the crisis aspect is why it's so important to make this call today, to reach out. I know some of you have already, and thank you. We ask that you work with Shawn. He's fantastic in this field. He's been recommended by a lot of people. So esteplawfirm.com. I've got a couple of other questions. What happens when someone has been paying a family member for caregiving?
So I actually have that issue right now with the client. So what we try to do is put a care plan in place. Okay, so there will be a care contract that says that this person is taking care of, say, Aunt Sally. Okay, Aunt Sally needs care at home, and instead of going to the nursing home, she gets care at home, and we have a contract that says she's getting paid a certain amount on an hourly basis to care for Aunt Sally.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a care contract. Put that in place as soon as possible, because if you don't, and she needs to transition to a nursing home later and get Medicaid benefits, Medicaid may look at that and call those non-contractual payments gifts. Or if the payments are in excess of what Medicaid feels is appropriate, they may also be called gifts or transfers for less than fair market value. So that could affect your ability to qualify for Medicaid.
Okay. Does Medicaid really take your house? Quote unquote, take your house?
No, they don't. I've heard that. I've also heard, I don't want the nursing home to take my house.
Right.
The answer is no. They don't take your house. What they do is, if you're on benefits, if you're receiving Medicaid benefits, and there's not someone that's living there, like a spouse or a disabled child, there's some other exceptions, then they will put a lien on the house, right? That lien will not have anything to do with the house until someone tries to sell it. So whatever you've received in Medicaid benefits over the years will be on that lien.
Okay.
And then when that house is sold, that lien gets paid first. Okay?
What protections exist for the spouse who remains at home?
truthfully, there are no protections per se. You really have to make sure that you have your powers of attorney in place and that they're appropriate for managing Medicaid.
Okay.
You probably needed to have planned for Medicaid ahead of time and for veterans benefits ahead of time if you qualify for them. If you've done those things, that's how you protect your spouse that stays at home. Pre-planning 5 years or more prior to you needing Medicaid. How do you know it's 5 years beforehand? You don't. But you do the best you can. You plan as soon as possible.
Okay.
Okay.
And then in our closing, and you did mention this to us, once you have this done and you have that, as I mentioned earlier, a weight lifted off of your shoulder, it's not just done. You recommend that this gets revisited every 3 to 5 years?
3 to 5 years, right.
So again, just understand that because things change, your mind might change, people may have passed on. Those 3 tiers, people might all be gone. You got to start kind of, okay, now we got to get more people. Have you seen that happen?
That's the most likely experience. So you have kids that are in their teens and they're not quite ready for prime time. In 5 years, they're in their 20s, and maybe they're better. Maybe there's somebody that you trust, and maybe the people that you had 5 years ago went from their mid-60s to 70s, and maybe they're not appropriate because of their health. So these kind of things change all the time. Also, the laws change. Things that you may need to think about change. So if you're in your 40s, maybe you're not thinking about long-term care, but maybe in your 50s and 60s, you start thinking about it.
Right.
So maybe your powers need to change a little bit. Maybe your trust needs to change a little bit to allow that kind of planning.
Again, folks, as we get ready to wrap up, if your question, you're driving, maybe you're listening to us right now, or you are catching this at the very end, go ahead and shoot me a message or shoot Shawn a message. If you want to message me, like some of you have, info@therealmonicaadams.com. If you want to message Shawn, here's all the information for his email and phone number. It is, again, info@esteplawfirm.com. The website is the Estep Law Firm, not the esteplawfirm.com. And then the phone number, if you want to call today and say, I need to set this up, I can't put it off any longer, 636-233-2017. Plan before making transfers.
Correct.
Review your existing estate planning documents. This is things that I hope we've really driven home. Begin with what matters, right? So you're thinking, and sometimes you have to think this way instead of complete emotions. Begin with what matters, what needs protection, and whom we trust, which is what we talked about at the beginning. And then an invitation to, again, we're right now scheduling that planning conversation. For all of you that have put it off, it's a scary thing. And I'm going to tell you, before we met Shawn, I just kept telling Jim, we need to do this. Jim, we need to do this. Now I feel like I can rest at night.
Well, and what I'd like people to recognize is that there's no obligation. Just come in and meet with me, get to know me a little bit. If I'm not the right person, that's fine. I'm here to serve you and make sure that if you've got anxiety that we can allay some of that and just make sure you understand this is just a simple process of understanding you and your family, what you're trying to protect and why.
And when are we making the pastrami sandwich together?
That's a good question. We'll have to get that scheduled for the next week or two, right?
Shawn reached out to me and said, "Can we take a picture in the kitchen of you and I with the pastrami sandwich?" And I was like, "Yes." Can we eat it though?
We're absolutely going to eat that sucker.
After the picture. Well, one more time, I can't say it enough. Thank you for all you did for us because it was a wonderful process, and that's the thing that you want. Some of you may have already, actually, let's say this before we wrap up. What if they have done a lot of work? They believe that they've taken care of everything. Can they still reach out to you and just say, can you look over this and then just fill in the blanks of things? Or
I try not to look at the documents first. What I want to do is I want to have the conversation with you. I just had that experience with somebody a couple months ago that came in. They had a trust from an attorney that they trusted. And I asked them, what do you want to do? So we put it all up on my whiteboard and here are the things I want to do. And then we walked through the trust with her and said, you see that this isn't what happened here.
Yeah.
They didn't ask you these questions. So that's the difference between planning and buying a trust, I think, is that you're not getting what you really wanted if you don't really lay it out and somebody asks you the right questions, ask you who you are and what you're trying to do. again, that's my goal. And you and Jim, you were wonderful, and they just had a great story, and I really appreciate it.
No, I'm glad I challenged you.
You did.
It's like, wow,
You did.
this is lengthy.
I really enjoy being challenged with people, not so much, hard in terms of, money and things like that. More, what are the personal challenges? What are the things that are important for you? And you and Jim did such a good job of explaining your story. And that's what I'm here for, is to listen to your story and put that in your planning.
And carry out those wishes and leave that legacy. Again, that's what it's all about, folks. Shawn Estep, esteplawfirm.com. Again, do me a favor, reach out, ask the questions, and then go through the process so you too, no matter the age, again, it's never too late. And you probably need to start younger. I think that's the thing that you all would be shocked by. And that 30-year-old couple I met last night, get on it. Get in touch with Shawn. Well, we look forward to having Shawn back. Much more questions, so much of his 30 years that he can share with you to remove some of the mistakes maybe that exist already. We've got a little Foodie Friday I'm going to do from home tomorrow. I'm going to make up some breakfast for you as we talk about life. Yesterday's show has 10,000 views on it. I was in my pajamas, no makeup, real. Real. Evidently you all want a little bit more of that. We're going to give it to you.
Monica.
That is the
Absolutely.
real Monica Adams. All right, and then coming up for you next week, we have Dr. James Clarkson from Heritage Hand Surgery. This man does surgery and you're wide awake. Local anesthetic, no tourniquet. It's called Wallant, and he puts VR goggles on you.
Oh, nice.
Isn't that interesting? So you're not paying attention to the fact that your hand's being cut on.
Wow. Okay. I'm looking forward to that.
He was really, and he has this accent that we all love. So he was on with us
Nice.
last month. He's in Michigan, so he's a new part of our show. We can't thank all of you enough, from our sponsors to all of you for watching. If you have a guest you would like to see on the show, you want us to bring the show on the road like we're doing today, message me at info@therealmonicaadams.com. Let's make it happen. Shawn, thank you so much.
Well, thanks everybody for coming. I want to see you guys here in person.
Yes. Make it happen. Don't put it off any longer. All right, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Remember what we always tell you. Dream big. Become a lawyer. Become a doctor. Charge each other. Whatever you want to be.
Yeah.
Do it. Believe in yourself. But the greatest be is kind. Be kind and God bless.
The Real Monica Adams Show is brought to you by Kaufman Outdoors and The Porch in Wildwood.